Okay.
You know, please stand, join the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to the regular meeting of Pipestone County Commission for August 22nd. Serving us today, we've got Commissioner Luke Johnson, Commissioner Doug Nagel, Commissioner Dallas Rossdale, Commissioner Chris Hollingsworth, myself, and Steve Moon, Administrator, and Kathy Bessie, our HR Director. You all received a copy of the agenda and one was posted at the door as well too. Is there any corrections or additions to the agenda as posted?
Mr. Chairman, under consent agenda, item 2, Commissioners warrants, I have add-on warrants this morning in the amount of $30,127.76, $30,127.76. At approximately 9:50, I would like to request that we schedule a home tax abatement public hearing within the city of Pipestone for Pipestone Development Corporation. And I did add that into your packets. You have that in front of you. And on another additional item, I received an email from Deb Nelson at City Hall last night requesting a resolution of support for the city of Pipestone for the designation of Hiawatha Pageant Park as a regional park. And I drafted that this morning and put that in your packet information this morning. That'll be resolution 5923-23. And those are my additions, and the resolution can be added anytime. I'd like to get the home tax hearing if we have time, but try to keep our time going at about 9:50 if that works. So if it doesn't work, we'll move it around. That's what I have, Mr. Chairman.
Second, for discussion questions, hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. And also in the back of the was the consent agenda, which consists of the approval from our 8-8 meeting, also our commissioner warrants posted, commissioner warrants of 8-11 and 8-18, and our hospital warrants then of $1,000.55. Additional warrant is added on $30,027.76.
The chair, I move for approval.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Chris. Moved and second. Further discussion and questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Okay, first on the docket, we've got that. Right, she's got the employees. I think us at all this time.
Good luck with the new position.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Morning.
First up for me today would be some right-of-way payments. This would be for our
Road project plans on County Road 25. And call it the sale barn road, but it goes past John Deere there. There's some pretty good sized payments, you know, you're used to seeing like culvert right away payments. This is, you know, through farmland. If parcels are over a certain dollar amount, they have to be professionally appraised, so everything out there is professionally appraised. I think the farmland came back at like 12 to 16,000 an acre, depending on some of the type. They're also, the payments are also large because we're going from 33 feet to 60 feet. Usually we're going from 50 to 60, so it's a smaller acre amount, we'll get to over twice what we're seeing, so. Right away, gonna be spending out there, but
The homesteads there. Go out 6 foot in the homestead as well.
so right now, this is just what it takes to move that power line. So it'll complete the east side of the road, which goes through the one building site, but west side of the road, we haven't reached out to anybody yet. We wanted to focus on the east side first, so we can get that line reinstalled, I guess, at the right spot, so we don't have to pay it a little bit in a few years here.
Across the substation.
Oh, okay. Okay, they said it'd be mid-October before they're here, so. So she should be out.
There was at 7 o'clock last night, so.
And then part of that deal with the power company, we'll have to take the trees out, there'll be some trees down the trail out there, so you might see us out there now. Cut some trees out.
Because it says substantial on land, and significant monies that where these funds come from.
Or state aid. Yeah. State aid allotment is for that.
Thank you. Question, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Next up, I have a request to purchase some tires, but I would like to skip that and come back. I think confirm that is the state bid price, and the person I need to talk to is out on medical right now, so. It's not a rush, you know, we can certainly report next meeting to cover that, so. Yep. Right, next item. If you recall last month, I talked about a culvert that needs to be replaced on our County Road 2, just east of our County Road 17. So we have two options, as I see it. We could replace it with a new concrete pipe, that'd be about $24,000, or we have a used pipe that we think would work well. But we need to buy new gaskets and ties, attachments. It's got a few chips and stuff. So that'd be about 2,000. So a lot cheaper. I think it's definitely the way to go, but you would see a couple bills come in, you know, for that, you know, like almost 1,700 for gaskets and ties, and then it might be a little bit more for some of the patch. So with the bills coming in, I thought it'd be appropriate to yes, so that's the way I'd like to do it if that works for.
That's also concrete.
Yeah, it's concrete pipe. Yeah, it's good pipe. We saved it. I can't remember where we salvaged it from, but saved it for things like this. But once again, 2,000 bills, like looking through that, catch somebody's eye. So I thought I wanted to bring it up and make sure that makes sense.
Well, that's $90,000 savings, of course.
Right, but it's used pipe versus new.
Structurally sound.
Structurally it's sound. I think it's definitely the way to go. No, I just more or less information, and if somebody else had another thought, you know, we could start doing that.
Thank you.
No problem. Next up for me would be, request to sell some surplus equipment. We received that pickup we ordered this spring. And if you remember when we ordered that, I said we would take, we had 6 out of service. It's a 2000 Chevy 3/4 ton 4x4. As you see, it's only got 138,000 miles on it, but 135 of those are hooked to a trailer. Or I know it's, so we definitely got our money's worth out of that one. It takes quite a bit of oil. I think the engine's pretty tired and it still runs. It actually looks pretty decent, pretty decent shape, so. But we think we're best off getting rid of that one next. So we have a couple older ones with more miles, but just, considering what it is used for, I think this is probably the highest risk one, so. So we'd like permission to sell that, and then, if there's more surplus equipment, we can hang on to it and wait for a county auction, or we can just put an ad in the paper like we've done before. Take sealed bids and open them up at a meeting. I'm fine with that too. That's pretty easy.
Chance to touch base with Brad for us. He's got some huge surplus stuff here as well. Again, whether we go through that formal auction or not, I know it's not a money maker. Same time, it's the most transparent way of disposing of public property.
Yep. Thank you.
It's kind of a little bit of my experience, I think he maybe it was better when the newspaper had. And then
Yeah.
the local,
Yeah.
it seems like the local people look at it pretty hard, they'll come and check it out. So.
Yeah, I
And
agree
we're
with
in
you.
auctions, you don't know.
With the truck, I agree. I'm thinking about other states. He has other things as well too.
I don't, this is all I.
Oh, this is all you've got.
This is the only thing.
Yeah, I thought you had some stuff.
So I agree with Doug, like, we've sold weird little things, that very well, but vehicles seem to do well.
And again, as far as transparency, when you sell a vehicle like this, it's the paper, everyone's gonna care about it.
Yes, we advertise it in, Edgerton and Pipestone, and we put it on our county website, and it'd be, they just submit an envelope with sealed bid in it. I think that would do well. I know we have that min bid thing, but I don't think we need to reach out that far. That costs money too. Right, for a weird item like that cat truck we got rid of. If we Fergus Falls or something, something. But we find somebody who wants it, but this we find something local. So, okay, I will reach out to Brad. And I can ask if he has any plans for an upcoming auction or anything.
But if you don't have the other small items in the work, I thought you had some other small.
No,
items.
it's just that. So we should just go ahead and put it in the paper then. Okay, so one side note I have to mention on this. I think we have a county employee that would likely bid on this, so I would just handle all the questions myself, so there's no conflict of interest in that.
And then if I take too, so this vehicle's 20 years old and down there, it just looks like it's in good shape. So I compliment the guys who take care of the equipment.
Actually, that one went into the shop brand new. It's usually the.
Oh.
Into the shop. So, yeah, they did take care of that one pretty good.
Yeah, that's impressive, yeah.
It's hard work.
It looks a little tough.
Some look like
We have work. So, as far as the date to open sealed bids then,
That's up to you. You can do whatever you want to.
do that second meeting in September. I think I could get it in the paper for a couple weeks out.
September 19th,
Yeah.
September 26th, 12th or 26th,
I'll do the later one.
26th. Okay. No, no. Just confirm with me you want it on the 26th and I'll get it on the agenda for you.
Will do. Oh, next item I have, water is really low again. If you recall on these older timber bridges that we replaced, a lot of them were bad, because piling rotted off, and the water goes up and down all the time, Average water levels, I should say. So on these newer bridges with steel piling, we can run into the same problem with rusting at that level. So it might take a look at some of these, and it might be a good time for us to, the water going on, put some of this, make an expensive paint kind of help resist that. So we may, if we find some bad ones that need the paint, we might go ahead and order it, paint them, but it's an expensive paint. I don't remember, it's $100 a gallon or something. I feel like it's really, really expensive, but $1 million bridges, it's, less than a drop in the bucket. But if we get that opportunity and find a spot that it needs to be, we might just straight up and order some. So you see a bill come through for some insanely expensive paint to the highway department, that's what it's for. No, I haven't. Is that bad too? Okay. Well, this is different than house paint. This is made.
You brush this on or you spray it on?
I think we roll it on. We'd have to wire wheel it up a little bit and paint this stuff on. It's super thick. It's almost, if I remember right, it's almost like grease or something. It's really expensive, but just so you know, if you see that come through, it's absolutely. Next item, I have another maintenance update. So at the new, the new building we're remodeling on 8th, I was approached about the possibility of getting some of that old rubble from Central School, putting under the parking lot. I'm not leading this project, so I don't want to speak for anybody else, but they might be interested in some of that. Yeah. Correct. But they talked about putting some of that down first and some tile and whatnot, and I said, well, same team as far as I'm concerned, like, I don't care because. Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure that board's okay with me just giving that. Okay. Yeah, right. So, with that being said, would you want us to, we could haul that, and then they're gonna have some excess material, we can haul that out at the same time if you'd like, and see that, or they'd be probably higher than something to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll offer to haul that in if they want, and haul out any excess they have.
Great.
Fact, you got some spoils there now from the concrete yard.
Right.
They want that hauled out also.
I think so.
Landscape.
But before I got too generous, I just wanted to run past the board and make sure that that was fine with you guys before I signed us up for something that we shouldn't. Okay, so we will, I'll tell them that we'll haul in, whatever, haul out, whatever. All right, also last week, I said that we had a little mishap after it rained. We blamed it through some dust control, or maybe 2 weeks ago. And that did not come out of it, so they had it reapplied, so we'll be sending that bill through. But just so you know, we thought maybe it'd come out of it, but it didn't. Unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, they see, stuff happens, right after rain, like I said, it was a long-term blade driver, we just don't have any issues with him, this is like, well, get one every 10 years like this. But, it's unfortunate, but yeah. Well, that's all I had for now. I have the land rent bid open 10:30. Letting that, anybody have any questions for me? Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you.
council receive the money.
Along with their recommendations, Annie Prashad is proposing to open a 20-acre gravel pit in rock section 31. It's mainly just straight south of the county landfill, that was sold, the county gravel pit that was sold to the sportsman group for their shooting range. Pretty much that entire area has been excavated or been a pit for quite a number of years. And the recommendations from the planning commission are to approve with 3 conditions. One being that it's valid for 10 years. The excavation and reclamation be completed as presented, and that they comply with all other state, federal, and local requirements. Yeah, the findings were just kind of just a summary of what was put together in the application as far as operating hours and things like that. So, any questions on the conditional use permit?
Are there any issues with leaching from
Not to my knowledge, you leaching into the pit?
Yeah.
Don't believe so. Everything pretty much, my knowledge, flows. Well, right now there's beaver dams that are holding the water back around the base of the landfill. I've talked to DNR, or not talked to PCA, Jamie Doubleby has also talked to them. That's holding water on the sportsman's ground also now. So that's kind of one issue. So with that being ponded there, there's enough separation between the two. I don't anticipate that to be any concern, but I would assume the natural water flow would be southwest towards the creek. So this would be directly south of that. So it wouldn't be directly in the flow of things. So that's kind of unknown, but and they're monitoring that. So I don't know of any.
they'd let us know, I'm
contaminants.
sure.
Right. I think they found trace elements of different things, but what levels, I don't know the details.
John owns land now, it's not leased.
He owns it, right? Yeah, and he purchased this about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
And so what is the recreational plan after it's closed?
His proposal was to have it go back into farmland. Right now, the old pit that was excavated is now farmland. It's actually put in CRP currently. So his intentions are to excavate about 15 to 20 feet out. And, that's probably 15, 20 years down the road. Keep it so that you can kind of level it off, bring some black dirt in, and then utilize it for that, back to farming again, is his intentions.
Glad to see you guys. Welcome.
Morning, guys. Morning.
We're here today, we've heard of some, tax for on gravel, for reclaiming, gravel pits. Aggregate tax. And so we're going to, got a estimate here on reclaiming the north, begin reclaiming the north, edge of the property of the old gravel pit and turning and going east. Fill that in so it's all manageable, so it can be mowed and taken care of, and that'll actually become probably the archery area for the gun club. So, and right now it's unmanageable and needs to be reclaimed and repaired so it can be mowed and maintained. Just here to submit the bid and then let you know that this is, it's, of course, for our nonprofit club. And if you can- any help would be greatly appreciated.
My understanding, the original intent of the aggregate tax was for a variety, it's not just strictly for recognitions. Good. Steve, what have we got for the balance of that, you know, at this point?
As of July 31st, $28,177.85.
Well, Double D said 19.5. So for the first phase. And I hadn't talked to Matt, he just got the estimate done, they just told him this morning it was down, so I picked it up on the way here. I don't know what phase one means, I suppose, maybe that's phase one, is that corner, and then as time goes on, we'll start moving further and further east and start repairing all of that.
Take a step back. Put you on the spot. We got a request to use some of our aggregate taxes and do some reclamation on the sportsman's club. And there is some balance in there now. Have you got any other earmarks for that money at this point? I know we've used it a little bit for some dust control.
I don't remember. I was asked this not that long ago, and I looked it up and I couldn't find where it says.
I don't think we've spent anything, Mr. Chairman, in that. No, dust control usually comes out of your funds anyway, right?
Yeah. I couldn't find where it says how it gets administered. I just, somebody said I had the files off this thing. But yeah, actually, it's one of my accounts.
Right.
Okay, there it is. And.
Kyle, why don't you come up and take Domain's chair, please? Get you on the record.
Yeah, it's part of one of my zoning accounts. I did some checking around on other counties that do have the tax also. On how they pursue, the expenditure of those funds. To my knowledge, there is no other county that's spent any of that money as of yet. So it's kind of a new thing, but it's at the discretion of the board and it's pretty broadly able to be spent on any type of reclamation expenditures or actually some other things I think are included in there too. So as long as it's towards reclamation or public improvements, in general, I think that's really what the statute allows. So it's dictated by the statute of what it can be spent on. I don't have the language, right, but. And I think with being that this is a public entity, that it more than justifies, and it's an old county pit also, so I think it's a good expenditure of those funds.
I sure serve more than one purpose. Yeah. Take care of our old landfill. Helping out the public area.
We have a lot of other pits that do need reclamation, but they are privately owned, so it kind of runs that question of, how much public money do you put into a privately owned landfill reclamation?
Someone can ask the same thing too, that now this is privately owned. Still, it's something we probably should have done before we sold it.
Right.
I had a little bit thought of this, that it might be in the future, don't have to do this part, but if the highway department could get involved, maybe in the future to plug away at some of that regulation.
Be open to that, but it's
It might take time, but sure, if they would get some free time and then they could do some dirt work and scoping.
Yeah, we would very much saying with that. Yeah.
What would the timeline on this? Do you want to get going on this very soon?
We would like to, but it all depends on Double D and how busy they are. They didn't really put a timeline down on here or dates or anything like that. I think they would just kind of work it in as they go along. If they've got, several days or something where they can move a piece of equipment in and work for a while, and then do that. And that would be fine for us. We don't see any heavy use for that area for the next probably year. So we're going to focus on getting the berms up to the range before we're going to focus on that area. But if it were cleaned up, we could start mowing and maintaining it and setting up something for archery people.
They're gonna start opening the Sean pit, we're gonna put it there to open this and it's only
They just have to, they have to use their heavy equipment to move dozers or something.
Mhm.
But it's close. It's not a long, big move.
How far is it away from this?
Right across the DNR. The DNR property goes right behind ours. They're right next to them. No, not at all. Grants cover portion is also
The money we're pursuing from some state grants where we can help, with the burn. And if, we'll work something in there, I'm sure. And we can dirt away and moving dirt around, we'll probably try and fix things.
with a lot of newness of this and a lot of variables, I'd like to, I procrastinate on it, I don't feel to make a decision at the end, I'd like to have information. I'll keep giving us recommendations, yes, studies, and also look at the actual estimate, whether or not part of all that. Yep. Good.
Say something, as we're working on some of our other grants with the DNR, Midway USA, some of this money, it's a matching grant, so it can be used for our matching grant, or we can get more grant money. If we could use this for a match, so that's something to consider.
Thank you. Your comment about that one.
No, I mean, this might be, I would like to get involved in this part of it, because in the future. Another part of it.
Right now, we're still short staffed, but.
No, I'm not talking.
No, I understand that, but you know, in the future, it's a possibility.
But there are days where.
Specific ask them today is for. what?
9.5.
The 19.
What's the deadline on the grant?
Different grants have different. Anywhere from February. Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the 19.5 out of the aggregate balance that we have.
You go ahead and act on it today.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the 19.5 today. Okay, further discussion.
It's basically cleaning up our own mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
In order to move forward.
I would support that.
Yeah, we support that. Okay, and that's what I did. I certainly find that towards the help of your grant. Grant questions. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay. Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the grant question 19.5 today?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passing unanimously. Yeah, and thank you.
You bet.
Thank you very
You need a copy of this?
Yeah, I do.
And then, yeah, going forward, kind of coordinate a little bit with planning department, see where we're at. That's also help out. So we can find out.
Yep, absolutely. We will. Absolutely. That would be.
Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Jones.
Nice to move on, maybe. Thank
you. Yeah.
Up and running.
Yeah. This time here, you don't want to like, it's kind of on my.
They out there? Or are they gone?
Oh, not really problem. Okay, Steve, are you ready to talk about the
Yes. Amanda is out today, so she's not able to be here on this. And she received a request from PDC for home tax abatements. Find it here. Those are add-on items this morning to your packet, so. She is requesting to have a public hearing on September 12th at 10 a.m. for PDC for home tax abatements at the Hill School property. There are addresses at 601 11th Street Southwest and Lot 9 of Noble's Second Edition in Block 1. Has provided you copies of the application form. Also, you have a copy of the plat layout. Lots are circled where they're planning to build. This would be on, lot 9 would be on the southeast end of the property, it looks like to me on this one. And you have diagrams of the structures that will be built. So it'll be 2 twin homes on lot 9, and you have different elevations of what it would look like. Interior designs with some furnishings on there. So that's at 601. Then they also will have a second one at 605 11th Street Southwest. And that will be in lot 10, which is directly west of lot 9. So those are the 2 far lots on the south end that are apparently being sold and developed. PDC will be the developer of the project. And as this progresses, this is really no different than how the county's dealt with Edgerton and their developer down there that builds the houses. And when it's done, the abatements go to the ultimate owner of the house, doesn't go to the developer. So the history is true on that, is how that works through. So recommendation today would be for the board to take action on setting a public hearing at 10 a.m. on September 12th here in the commissioner's room during a board meeting for these 2 lots and 4 parcels. September 12th. You for that. I'll do my papers here. Correct. Any personnel? You want? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll grab Bill too.
I just have a few announcements for everyone, which I did notice. There's but the artist was like, and with driver's license, will also eventually get the auditor's office. Well, so his name is Club Service, he's very tight, part-time, 8 to 16 hours a week. After your own 12 hours a week, so you're 1 or 2 days a week. And if you recall, Nicola went back to 3 days a week, so he's filling in that other piece of. Yes. Yep. And then Leslie resigned or retired in August. And Danielle was working the other half of that job share, and she has accepted the full-time position started. September 1st. So, they are gonna approve a little bit of reduction in hours through the end of the year, which they approved as a department head, but then she'll be full-time starting on 1/24.
Application of that job share. Nice to have some. So going forward, if you don't want to be full time, long term, you can look for another job share.
I think they're gonna go with the full-time and one of the. And then also we have another person who's starting on September 7th. He's from Axel, who's from the Sioux Falls area.
Hey, you know, we're. Morning. Did I to? I'm sure it's going to be this month. See.
So they guarantee that everything's stored here in the United States?
We had some, Minnesota tour their site in Chicago, the government project. This is where. we got a specific recommendation for us.
I would like you today to approve this for the 3 years. We'll start with 10. It'll probably take us till December to get this up and going. It's quite a while. It's gonna be new to Virginia.
Contract. For some change.
Is there a way to limit how many of these we'll need going forward? I mean, does everyone need it? Or, you know, can we get by with just having some limited number? You know, depending on whatever needs there are to connect.
It's some of our people. There's some disadvantages with that, no internet, no Excel. Let's see.
I received this morning from Deb at City Hall, and just to let you know what she sent me this morning just via email. I know this email is late, but tonight the city council approved the attached resolution in support of designating the Hiawatha Pageant Park as a regional park. It would be tremendously helpful with funding opportunities. Would it be possible to amend your agenda tomorrow to approve a resolution of support? I've attached the one the city approved tonight and the original template. Sorry for the scribbled notes and stuff. I didn't put that in your pack. I didn't have time to get it all in there. So what I did is I drew up a resolution that's showing our support of it, basically following their template as much as I could on it. They want to get this done before March 1st, so they could possibly tap into National Park Service funding to help with the master plan. Thanks so much. So what I did, I just penned it together. It's resolution 5923-23, supporting city of Pipestone on a regional park designation application for the city. Basically, I left everything virtually the same except in the fourth whereas and the on the therefore be it resolved, the county hereby certifies the resolution has been adopted by the listed lead applicant, and Pipestone County supports the city of Pipestone in this endeavor. That's what I added in there to show it through. So I would recommend that the county approve this if they so desire to support the city of Pipestone in their conquest to get the get designation for the Hiawatha Pageant Park, get some funding for it. No, it's just a resolution of support to the city.
Resolution. All right.
Mr. Chair, I'll have you sign that when we're done with the meeting then. Okay, yeah, go ahead. That. No, the only thing I did confirm with Domain, he read through the agreement and is fine with the board signing this agreement because they did change the hold harmless agreements to note that the counties that are part of this are listed as a hold harmless, where in former documents they were not. So he did say that this was fine, that the board approved it. So recommendation would be the board to approve the amended agreement dated June 9th of 2023.
Anybody else for discussion questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know, or did you find the number on what the annual revenue is?
I think the Wine Valley 2% of the annual revenue or the annual budget. of money. Yes. But that is, I know. Couple months.
I think that's what you had mentioned, 200,000 a year.
No, I don't have.
That's a good time.
Okay, good question.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one more there. We've got the amended Redwood Cottonwood Rivers Control Association Joint Powers Agreement to take off, to act on as well.
That's been approved a few months back, but Redwood County attorney wanted to make some changes, and the main change being that we won't have to do this every 2 years in the future. It'll just go unless it's terminated or amended, so hopefully this will be the last time we have to do it. Otherwise, everything's the same. We've been involved with this for 40 years. It's been working out pretty well.
Action, so I understand.
I'd move to approve it.
Second, Redwood Cottonwood River Control Area Joint Powers Agreement for the question discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, it's 10:03, we're back out of recess then. This will be a short time before we go back to recess. But we are, the question at hand now is on the agenda at 10 o'clock, we'll anticipate the public hearing. Steve, you got the presentation?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the board open the public hearing at this time by motion.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Mr. Chairman, let's read this into the record. Public hearing is hereby scheduled at 10 a.m. on August 22nd, 2023 at the Commissioner's Room located at Pipestone County Courthouse, 416 South Hiawatha Avenue, Pipestone, Minnesota, to be held on a proposed property tax abatement request from Deanna Prolwitz pursuant to Minnesota statutes 469.1813 and 116J.993 through 116J.995, consisting of a new home construction located in the township of Gray. It has been proposed that the Board of Commissioners of the County of Pipestone grant a property tax abatement on these properties in the amount not to exceed 100% of the county's portion of the real estate taxes related to new residential home construction on the subject properties for a period not to exceed 3 years. The estimated value of the abatement is approximately $1,515 annually. This board will hold a public hearing on the proposed abatement as required by Minnesota statute 469.1813 subdivision 5. Chairman, there is no new information to the hearing. You have the information in front of you. I don't see anyone in the seats that wish to communicate on this. Take any questions or comments that the board may have. This was advertised according to protocol and state statute as well. This is the same information we had several weeks ago when we scheduled the public hearing for Ms. Prowitz on this. There's no new information on this to my knowledge. Amanda couldn't be here today. She has other appointments she had to deal with. So, there's no public hearing. I'd recommend you close the public hearing and then we'll act on the abatement. And that is that.
Yeah, so we are gonna have to wait until 9:30, because we've got a raffle tip.
10:30, Mr. Chairman.
No.
No.
We did that one.
Yeah. He should be here any minute. We can get started on his budget meeting and then we'll. Sounds good. All right.
Okay, it's 10, comes back out of recess, we're gonna have a schedule, we have to be 3 months. My game come down and start working for budget. Floor is yours, guys.
I mean, he's in court, he'll be coming down for the deal, but it's full.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Well, everything.
You not have yours?
Yeah, I never even figured out the percent because it's the labor.
Dispatch.
You know, drivers and
What page? Sheriff's. Yep.
And just so you know, that all the cities are getting a special grant this year, including county here. So what I do is just like $10,000. I just split that in half. I raise the budget 5,000. So if they don't spend it on something else, it's the next 2 years they're really not raise. But yeah, I figured some mission for that us for public safety. So all the cities got it, and that's based on their population. That, Steve, you know that public safety money's coming out,
When? I was told like December,
period.
Yep. 173,000 in December,
Yeah, that was it.
right?
So the city's got their.
And they'll be getting it at the same time.
We're looking at, this year, cutting down, trying to get just 2 vehicles. One is actually the jail pump and the new up to the.
Assuming like the lease contract amounts, I mean, like for the city of Pipestone, we won't really know that until we have all the salary information.
I had to put something in there because I had to, so every city I felt it's a proposed budget. But I mean, pretty well, we gotta have a number 2, you know, so.
Right, right.
So, say if you guys approve this, down the road, it's really not.
It's a tentative number at best, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, these are good. Thanks. Money that's coming in, the 170,000 is not in the budget. Talk to Steve to
No.
take that out. Put that over the-
It's one-time money, but I didn't want to put it in the budget, so as to affect the levy will skew everything, so. Mhm. The public safety aid, yeah. Mhm. There's lots of needs for that, I'm sure.
Areas that are highlighted, you'd like to point out, guys, or?
Every year we have this, I actually put it in this year. Under 62, 57, the drug enforcement thing. And I'll just make sure we're working on, it's. Money was approved to go to the task force. That comes in as taxes, and let go, and they actually roll it out. Department really gets in there. So, looks like a bad number, but we want to make sure it's for levy, so that's why I put it in. That's when it's fewer, it's actually money's coming in.
At a flat $4.50 right now, lecture per capita. That's from the citizens of Pipestone County. For that, and that stayed steady in September on the task force side of it, for to see if there's a need for an increase, but I don't see there being an increase in the state of Florida. See in the future. For the city of decent financially on the task force side, why? Still need that. Stay. I think, like we said in the past, I don't know that the enforcement of the day-to-day street drug crimes are gonna change. Street drugs are still street drugs. What's controlled and now legalized by legislation will just change a little bit of the operation of how that, some of that will happen. You're still using and selling illicit drugs that aren't controlled or legalized, you're still. There'll be some people that will be in line with that and.
smoking.
Still.
Oh, illegal.
You operate the vehicle and like that. So, you know,
Yeah, so
job's
we'll
gonna
see.
the job's gonna, the essence of the enforcement's gonna be the same, it's just the dynamics of how it's done.
As far as the, public consumption of legalized cannabis. So that wouldn't be part of drug enforcement anymore, that'd be part of regular ordinance.
Now, we would still use this, and if there was an ordinance that was enforceable for drug use, that would still be good. I mean, you have to understand that this money isn't just specific to drug enforcement, that's what it shows in the line item. They support violent crimes and stuff as well, and investigations of that, so, because they all go hand in hand, right? You get a place that gets burglarized and they lose $20,000 worth of tools, well, that becomes a crime that enhances to the point normally there's some kind of drug or controlled substance or violent crime attached to that. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand with a lot of things. It's not specific to just narcotics.
The state actually changed that every year to include violent crimes. Not just- Which is very helpful to us if we have a big case, we get other guys over here. Investigation.
Not that I want them to go up, but there's a number of categories that your budgeted amount seems light compared to the actual expenses the last couple of years. I mean, if we're already over the budgeted amount with 7 months in 2023, and it was higher last year.
What you looking at, Mr.?
But like maintenance and
Johnson?
repair of vehicles, or meals, lodging expenses, or rentals and service agreements, or even gas and fuel. I mean, if you're at 43.5 with 7 months and you're budgeting 50 or 55 for this coming year. If you use 43.5 in 7 months, I'm guessing you're gonna use a good portion of that in 5. You're gonna be at way more than 50 some.
Yeah, we can look at.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Thing that's kind of,
On page 56.
Yeah,
refunds and reimbursements, you know, that's normally runs. Not that much, and this year we're already at 102,000, right? And some of that is because of we get insurance on a vehicle, we pay that out of the maintenance or whatever, but then it comes back in a refund and reimbursement. Some of that is skewed, not gas, but I mean, some of the repairs and stuff is kind of skewed because it doesn't go back into the same fund came out of. Still comes into the budget, but it's just a different spot. And we actually get all this stuff and actually break up 100% down.
so you get a refund or reimbursement from.
Insurance, payments for the damage.
Oh, okay.
When you
So-
wreck a
sure.
vehicle, you get
So
money.
when you look at the maintenance of. Example, like, equipment, repairing maintenance equipment. Repairing maintenance vehicle, well, we're expending, bill we get from the body shop to repair that vehicle.
Right.
But in refunds and reimbursements comes the MCIT payment for that.
Right.
There is no way to, from what we understand, the accounting side, as
No.
much as we'd like to do it, there is no way to take and just put a positive back in that
No,
repairs and maintenance.
doesn't do that way.
Right? It
Right.
doesn't work for the accounting people,
Right.
understandably so.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit, some of those are a little down now, you're leasing and rentals and those kinds of things, those stay pretty.
It just gets higher all the time.
Understand.
Right.
Concern. But when it comes to those other things with the equipment and the vehicles. And then sometimes, and exactly like the, talked about the bill this morning from Alpha Wireless, that was $11,800 some dollars. Well, there again, that comes out of maintenance and repair for equipment, right? But it does, but the MCIT check, which wasn't that much, but it was what significant to that, comes into refunds and reimbursements. So it gets that so lopsided sometimes, but honestly, you gotta, I mean, so I don't know how else to do
Yeah.
that.
Comes down to the bottom line at the end of the year, really how we did on all the different ones. It
Right.
really does.
Vehicle purchases, $40,000. You're not gonna. Or even. Yeah, trading. What's the trading?
So you have a trading value, and then sometimes we sell that vehicle outright without the trade.
Forget about the trade.
But that then goes into that refunds and reimbursement. And so it can skew that a little bit.
Right. There's 6,000 things in the jail budget for that vehicle also. So,
Yeah.
You know, vehicles in the budget. We could all claim.
Yeah.
You get to about 75, 80,000 pretty reasonably, trading value, 6,000 from the jail budget.
You're just trying to budget your net cost, what you're thinking it's gonna be to get a new vehicle. How many new ones you looking at for 22 next year? Yeah.
I try to do this. We can't help those numbers.
Right. And for the, just for the board and for Doug being new here too, about when you get a new vehicle, but what does it cost to equip that vehicle? What's an estimate?
That's not including, that's not really what we're spending, but that is what it costs to pretty much get that done. We are equipping ours in-house, so to speak, so we're using just labor fees. Plus, so it isn't costing us that much in the whole scheme of it. The equipment alone is probably 12,000. It's just crazy, you know, and then we turn around, we've had this discussion in the past, but trade a vehicle, the same make and model, but now it's just a year newer, and that $1,100 partition that you have to have by OSHA standards and protects rolling the vehicle doesn't fit in the next one, even though it's the same. We used to have Crown Vics for 15, 18 years, and we could use the same partition on them. It just isn't that way anymore. And so we're kind of at this, and then when we go to try to sell that equipment, that surplus from that vehicle we used for 5 years. It's kind of like you just think something, like, wow.
Right.
Some radars and radios and stuff, we can transfer them. Whatever we can.
Those are things that can, you know, big items that cost a lot of money. Of course, if they'll use them, if our radios now are going on, you know, 11 years, 12 years. That's pretty lucky. Almost 40. Just crazy, you know.
This is the debate right now, very serious debate on the tax and rule. Bill. That. Totally limits out there in the school for soccer team. And most of the counties have the water school. We're not at that point yet, so we gotta do something different. Sheriff Association board, they're all working behind the scenes trying to figure this out. We want to have an out there somehow or another, but he might not be a school resource officer anymore, but they're still, I mean, they're paying, so it's it's bad, kind of, supposed to be out there, protect the kids. How they're handcuffed in the hands of touch a child, we're like places that play in school, they can't touch it. Well, how do you break up a fight if you can't grab somebody, Yeah, right, exactly. And when I was up for 10 years, I think one time I actually had to grab a kid, but they knew I could. That was the difference. But you can't touch me. I said, I went to school. I can touch you and get up and leave, Once the kids will figure it out real fast.
Right, but I mean, if they know that you can't,
That's what I mean.
oh, they will push the limits real fast.
Just, that's what we're at. There was any plans of saying not going to have law enforcement presence at the school. But it's just, we're in the middle right now trying to figure out how we're going to make that work without having the officer vulnerable to liability and litigation, the county liable to litigation, the school, and still be able to do the job that needs to be done when it needs to be done. So the difference is they're saying basically because we have someone assigned to the school that might be in a contract with the school as a school resource officer, they can't do that. But if he calls for help or she does, and I get out there, I can see the difference. So we're just trying to figure out what that difference is in the land, make it happen and still do the program. But there's a lot of things that he's doing in the background and the Sheriff Association is too, trying to make that work so we can make it work for everybody. It's about as difficult in working with the new narcotics
It's
laws.
still been in the education.
There was no talking with any of the law enforcement side or the school district side of anything that went through that education bill seamlessly at 3:30 in the morning, and didn't even.
I'm sure that the legislators will say they didn't know it was in there. Yeah, exactly.
From the
Yeah.
notifications we've been getting now this week since this kind of like a week ago. Now this week, you can see the tone changing. Oh, that wasn't.
We didn't need that.
Okay, but now we still have this issue.
Right.
Once the sheriff's meeting, I think 3 or 4 somewhere. 34, but not 34. No, next we'll be able to put back in the motion. Stop something. They know whatever. But the way they wrote it, if there's any kind of contract, you have a contract. They were smart enough to a lot of topics going in round,
I mean, obviously, if something happens, if the person there had to call for a backup in order to have somebody to address it, that much time elapsing is too long to, you're gonna have the issue escalate or whatever. Right.
Ridiculous.
Because if they enact, they're not only gonna make litigation for county and school board themselves.
Right.
So there's way more in play.
But if they
than
don't
just-
react,
Then they're liable.
they're liable too.
It's kind of, it's a very sticky situation to be in for the officer that's going to be there, and then everyone who's supporting that. Well, the government. It's not a positive thing.
Yes. Yep. I think we're out. As I read through the information from the public hearing.
Takedowns that couldn't be used, any restriction of air, any strikes to the chest, abdomen, things that we're all trained to do on a daily basis and not do while we're doing it. The problem was there wasn't the right people sitting in front of the committee that made this, that could say that. They didn't ask. And job's no different for a cop when they're in the school as if we're in a nursing home, a hospital, or on the street. Still got to do it the same. Excessive is excessive, and you got to know the difference. And training is where we define that. And there just wasn't anybody there to advocate for it. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point.
Oh, they're gonna fix it. It's been more fun, be addressed now. And, who's gonna start money? I mean, well,
Mr. Chairman, we should put this on pause and do our budget or our bid opening.
yes.
Pause for a few minutes.
I can see if there's any. In the bodies.
Especially the second for next back in on highway engineer. We got bid opening and for our gravel. bids and
Okay. Things just checking for bids in the auditor's office.
Okay, Nick, we're ready for this.
Bid opening for our next land grant contract. In your packet, there was a bid tab. Kind of shows in the upper right corner the history of the different amounts we've had over the years. Something like that, yes, it changes every year. Every time we do a crushing project expansion, get a little bit more. It's written like that in the contract that they know they're gonna lose. Yep, it's at 200 for PC bond. I think there was 187 billable originally. And it's 160. 3-year contract, we wanted to get the current renter has it through the end of the year, but we wanted to get this out now before farmers get busy and also. And then that way, this bidder maybe have an opportunity to bid a little bit higher. Get it in time to do some. Yes. 5 minutes. Great, well, that being said, we get started here. First bid is from Wade Newgard. He is actually the current contract holder out there. Wade's bid is $231 per acre. $231 per acre. Next bid. Next bid is from Nathaniel Amara.
What was the last name?
Amoth. His bid is $232 per acre. $232 per acre. Third bid is from Von Farms. They were the contract holder previous to the current. They did $263 per acre. $263 per acre. Next bid. This is the envelope that the bid came from. It is from DB Farms. They have the contract. Faces here. So it said CB Farms on one end, over here it says Richard C. Either way, bid is $251 per acre. $251 per acre. Last bid. Last bid is from Austin Powers. That bid is $222 per acre. $222 per acre. Oh, looks like the high bid was from Dan and Jamie Von Rye. They did before. I did not put that in the past. I recommend going with the high bid on this. Preference here. 3 years. 3 years. Yes. Yep. There's a contract that has to be signed by, I think, chair and administrator.
Okay.
I might have that with me, so I might hang around.
Sounds good.
Yes. Can't remember how that. You know, I can't remember what's all in there. I know Jim O'Neill wrote this up for us. And since they can't mail it. That being sounds like the person. That's yearly contract doesn't pay all the stocks, sell bales off or something. I know it says they can't do that. I think there's some good steward wording in there if I remember right. you know, like they have to control the weeds and stuff like that. We haven't had any problems with these renters in the past. So. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and he's actually stopped in yesterday, I think. I think I told him, I think they have to have it done within 10 days or something like that. I'd like to get it signed this week if possible.
Part of the new process, I see you have checks in as well too, so.
Yes, after the contract is executed, it's recorded, but after we get all the signatures, then we'll mail back the 10% down payment to all the other vendors.
You guys know a lot of this. Yes. Yeah. Keep the numbers down, the SB real estate. And John didn't sure if it's like labor.
We don't have any, there's no salaries or insurance information in the budget yet. It looks really good right now, let's put it that way.
I would just suggest that maybe go back through and look at some of those that, you know, if you're already spending more than that currently. Just to make sure that everything's budgeted as, you know, to cover things that you know you're gonna have to spend, because, you know, whereas we're sharing the cost with others, we should at least make sure that we're covering the whole cost, not having to cover more of it ourselves. Right. No, I understand. I mean, you know, things like fuel, which is day to day, or, you know, when salaries are in, I know the holiday pay and overtime and some of that sometimes is light compared to what actually gets spent.
Question on vehicles. We know that in the past, after our highway department's mechanic, we don't have one now, but we should get one that wants to get that established there. So if they've got a tire change or tire down, show them.
That's like, I was.
Is that something that one you are search, or continue to search for mechanic? That's something that we can install work. Are the savings? Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what do you got? Computer stuff there, you know. I don't know.
Not really repair work, this is your maintenance and tire changes.
Yeah, I don't see where like those kinds of maintenance things are not overpriced with vendors. I mean, we're using various vendors throughout the county for that, for oil changes, brakes, tires, what we call regular maintenance stuff. I mean, those invoices are coming in and they're all within reason. We would have to compensate, you know, fixed budget back to for that. They're coming out of our expenses, and in the past, and the dollars were way different back in that day, but still got to share the money. And I guess there's a lot of things that happen for scheduling of those things with these other vendors, that a particular deputy who maybe lives in Edgerton goes to the shop in Edgerton, you know, and that it's and the same thing throughout the county. And I think that's the nice thing about being in the communities too. So I mean, it's not against it, but I just don't really think it would off balance enough things.
Always find the outreach as part of your community interaction.
Their tires are pretty good there.
So we pay the same for tires, and we stock and get the tires ourselves. We house them at a vendor's nice enough house for us. He does 80% of our tire work for that. Other than that, we still have other vendors who do some of that tire work. Just we send the tires to them first. And I just don't know the scheme of that. Now, if you had a GM mechanic that was there and you had all the stuff to work in service of GM vehicle, then I think maybe we could discuss that. But I just don't. I think still gonna have to go to these other service dealers for those.
You certainly can justify getting that equipment for what little you can do.
One thing, so.
Sure, that sounds good.
Morning.
I think I know about two things to note in my budget. Most of it didn't go for significant amount at all.
Which one you starting on? Dispatch or jail? Jail, okay. Page 66.
The one thing to note would be for professional services, and that would be our medical contract.
Mhm.
We did swap to ACH from, and so that cost did go up a bit. I calculated out, because if everything just goes normal, ACH alone is gonna cost us about 74,000 this year. That's not factoring in if they raise it 2% or anything. And I wanted to try to leave a little bit of buffer room there too, and for like ER visits, which aren't going to happen. That's not if, it's when you get those in ER. And nowadays, you go to ER, it's gonna be 2 or 3 grand for everybody. That's the way it is. So I'm hoping ACH stays at about that same level, about 75,000, about 10,000 buffer room for ER visits, which are very likely to happen. Then the only other thing I think really to note, would be for vehicle purchase. There's 10,000 in there that can be paid for a new vehicle and squad for myself. My truck's 2015, we're up to 106,000, that's the thing I have on it, so it's just, I can probably rotate that through. We anticipate trading that. I have not gotten any numbers or anything like that as far as trading value, because that's gonna be hard to do based on whatever vehicle order, if it's 6 months out, what the trade value of a truck is gonna be in 6 months, if that makes sense. We're hoping between 10 and 15, hopefully, trading value.
So yeah, $10,000 in there?
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Oh,
Oh, before you share it with that, okay. Oh, is that what you use for transport too? Transporting around the area where they need to go? Gotcha. So that's enough. All right. Okay.
Is the boarding prisoner amount gonna be enough? I'm assuming a lot of that's driven by, we're required to board elsewhere after so many days or whatever.
Yeah, that's a hard one to gauge as well. This past year, we had 2 or 3 that were incarcerated for a significant amount of time, like over a year, which really, drives that cost
But
up.
if it's over a year, when they go to prison?
No, so you don't go to prison until you're actually sentenced.
Oh,
To a
right,
year.
okay.
So if they're not sentenced yet, they could sit, there's people that sit in jails for 2 or 3 years, depending on what the charges are, how serious.
Right, right.
Um,
I mean, if you're sentenced to a year or more,
it's a year and a day.
yeah, year and a day.
That's another thing that is kind of seemingly out of our hands, I guess you'd say. So at 90 days, we house them up to that 90 days, and then after that, yeah, it costs us to house them wherever we need to house them. At this point, it's whoever's willing to take them as well. That's kind of been an issue in the past too, as far as staffing issues, that type of stuff. Hopefully, most of us around here are over that.
We had one. All fields committed. That's what we got in place.
Cause nobody wants to take them. Right. But here again, just looking at the numbers, I mean, we're almost at your budgeted amount after 7 months, and of course, the 2022 actual was significantly higher. Want to make sure we're. Yeah. But 2022 actual was over 100.
That was when we.
Right, right.
It's 6 months for sure. I know we had at least 3 people out of house from January 1st to March to mid-April. So that was 3 people on maybe-ish days a piece. It's not normal, thankfully,
Right.
but it does happen.
What is the cost per day again?
One or two, it's between $60 and $80 a day. Depending on rate.
Are a lot of the facilities, I mean, if they have space, typically they will take them though.
They have the space and the staff.
Yeah.
Almost always very good about, we work with them a lot. Yeah, good relationship. They're very good about it.
I've noticed last year or two, it seems like you're going farther and farther out sometimes.
Mhm.
During that staffing issues,
Right.
you know, people have staff to take the inmates.
Yeah.
I think that has gotten better in our jail and that type of thing. Sounds like everybody's pretty good to go with this.
We're the same way, we couldn't take, planning for all we are.
Okay,
Matter. Field workers.
right.
When we house somebody at Knowles, are we still responsible for medical expenses? House them. With the medical expense, that's kind of self-insuring ourselves. If there any type of a reinsurance we buy for that, because you never know the number of inmates that you have and what kind of condition you buy an insurance policy that would ever be available, something like that.
They only do bills. Medicaid price. But then they do that.
Mhm.
400 again.
So.
But that also explains why the hospitals don't make money. You know, if you're getting paid at Medicaid rates or whatever, it's way below cost. And, yeah.
Who else is staying long?
Okay, anything further on the jail? Now we'll take what's down the outfits.
Yeah.
All two basic. How you doing for staffing? Dispatch?
Tuesdays, top 3 days. Oh, yeah, well, you know. Especially nothing, we were still looking at down the road, fairly clean.
You mentioned that on a major.
A lot of that would come from the.
You think that might be in 2024?
Probably not. This one.
I'm working towards,
Yeah, well, there's nothing. I don't think that's enough. It is working.
we're not in danger of it failing or anything.
They'll do. Gas system, though. The fix it. There's no upgrade on it.
So they're proposed to take on that. Dispatch. Like during that remodel, do something temporary. Steve, wait a minute.
It's old and leaking.
Great.
And also that includes the skylight glass windows up front too, to get rid of those.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Because they're
been a problem
leaking
for
and
a lot
old.
of homes.
Yeah,
And now it's rooftop, you know, there in the corner.
Mm.
Chiller down here, there's some change there, and there's some other openings coming through the roof. That would come out of their budget.
along with windows too for working with Viking glass. The guy said he sent the email with the prices on it, but Wayne still hasn't gotten it. He called him twice and it still isn't getting here. So I don't know if they got bad email or what, but it's just like getting vendors to get you stuff anymore is like, in most cases, no offense to any vendors, but it it's very difficult to get things done.
So a lot of the
It's global.
safety Stuff would be in the 911 budget and dispatch.
Sound like.
And that's state or federal money.
That's set by legislation for 911 funds.
It's in public, I got paid off.
Oh, nice.
We got actually really lucky on that. That was a huge bump
Mhm.
in what we were having and seeing. But there, other than expected to. Patients. It's here at some level. It is too, and those are not.
No.
Those are billions of dollars, not. Hopefully we won't get those money, unless at that point, but at least we're getting them while we have them. And my suggestion, which is your too, is that we should utilize them. And, keeping those high fund balances and restricted funds aren't always likable to the people who are watching now.
Well, at least they keep your stuff updated. I mean, you know, like a family services, they're still getting stuff from the 70s. Seriously, that doesn't function hardly at all. And they'll be down for, you know, portions of days or a day at a time, you know.
And that. They did that, we were able to get pretty Cadillac version of the state of Minnesota. And then we were able to utilize that. Minimal funds the county had to expend to have the patients. Those we had to build that local, and that would make them a lot,
Oh.
millions.
Right.
everything has a lifespan.
Mhm.
Okay.
You see regional dispatch anytime.
Technology's there, there's no doubt. No. Got to be possible. Staffing issues may connect to those, but it's gonna take several government bodies to put together to do that. Right. The likelihood of that is just gonna know. I'm sure it's gonna be spent.
I hear that in regional jails talked about at least somewhat more. Just knowing that, it's not sustainable for especially smaller counties to think about building a new jail. Right,
Issue with regional dispatching is you got local communities our size. I want to still call up and make sure they're talking to someone.
I understand why they want it.
When someone gets to jail, they don't. So, man, Pipestone or not,
Right.
they're just going to work as a place for. However, that pushes.
I mean, at a certain point, cost is, I think, is going to drive a lot of it. It's how much can you spend for something that you could be doing shared and save millions probably. Yeah. Right.
You gotta be out of room for 15 people.
Right.
And it saves some, it saves money or build a jail, but if we just save camp for everybody to pick a county, you got a lot of transport costs too. And it's not free either.
Right.
You can't, often have no real estate or we,
But aren't they doing more of the court appearances by Zoom or?
Right.
Yeah,
we should get on there.
right.
So if you were, so
Right.
it's been discussed a lot. But I don't know, like,
911. 74.
Well, you say at the cost of everything, it doesn't go that far.
no, it did, especially if you're replacing big stuff.
I mean, even the radios in your cars, times how many vehicles do you have now? Okay, and you have how many vehicles? Okay, and that's covered by this? No,
East,
right?
and there's 16 then.
Wow.
So I mean, those are things we've slowly replaced here as you watch the unfold the last few years. We tried
So it's $100,000 just for the ones in the cars. Yeah,
That's why we're trying.
Years ago, but then mine went to the jail. Spares yet, so But we're getting, if we can, right now, we're seeing really a lot of them start to fail the old 2500s. 2012, so they don't support them, the software is not supported, they don't work on them unless a button or a knob is bad, maybe a bench shot can work down. I mean, they're at 12, 14 years, extends the ones that get out in the open. If they're kind of sitting around waiting for an emergency or something, they may last quite a bit longer. They're needed too, but the ones in day-to-day usage and get rolled around on the ground, they drop and wet.
So what, 4 or 5 of them?
We've got 6 of them now.
Or getting there,
Mhm.
and that's all them breaking.
Yeah.
These are mobile processors. You can get GPS proof with all of it. I mean, it's not just the phase of the fast to push a button, transmit back, it does do a lot of it.
Let's talk about making encrypt everything.
Hmm.
And if you have the radios or
I think we got a plan pretty well set for those, but yeah, the dispatch stuff, like when our dispatch council now goes, its end of life is 2025. Current one we have will be replaced by what's called a 7500 E, if that's what was decided by the board to spend money on. And that's looking like it's gonna be around $750,000. Keep in mind, the one we currently have did cost us about 500 and some thousand at the time.
Right.
So I mean, it's still crazy money.
Yeah.
Perspective of what we've used for the last 20 to 12 or 13 years, and right there, Steve, was about 2012.
2012, we got going on this. Yep.
Then 12, 13 years ago, this council, all this work. When that plan comes, that's where I think. Right now,
we have,
can use that.
we have. That's one of the accounts they want you to save money in, so after the later project, so point probably. So we'll. Like crazy.
So that way, if there's grant funds and it requires a match, at least can do the match.
Yeah, so much.
We can do the match, and also another thing to keep in mind is the numbers I just threw out there are state bid numbers. That's already vetted by the state for Motorola, because the multi-billion-dollar contract they already have with.
Right.
So I mean, if we were to be out on our own and who knows where and not have that to work with you, I don't know what that's going to cost
Right.
us before, and I don't even know what the future one would possibly be. Double that, I don't know. There's a chunk taken off that already because of that, so.
Are you considering going to body cams coming up?
Yes, that was another item. Standing with that. But I still, we're thinking. The storage and stuff. We're thinking around 40.
And apparently they changed the rules as far as, what you have to,
It's considered private now.
okay.
It was considered public. Now it's considered private unless whatever. You'll get a public hearing and all this. So far. Our cameras in our cars are made. Body cam.
I just thought like with that Fargo shooting recently where they showed the footage on TV a few times. It was a good example of how it, clearly showed that whatever was justified that happened,
Yeah.
Right.
Personal protection of accusations.
And just from our previous conversations in the years past, when we've been saying, telling you guys, this is something we're not interested in because of the dollar, the data privacy things. But things have evolved kind of like I think will happen with this law that passed this on the president. And so this body camera thing has become much more viable, much more financially. Companies like us to take on now. And we already keep up the watchguards in the car, like you said, we paid bought them with the thought of expanding them into a body camera. They will sync already with body cameras because of it. It will sync with that. Officer gets out, it knows it's out. It exits, communicates with the car. Servers built for the cars, the body cams. Are the same. Storage is an issue, right? Bill, that's pretty much.
And we'd also get, you know.
Oh, for sure.
But there's good cameras back there, being safe.
Right.
And kind of budget for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Trying to get everything you can in there that's okay, that's what we. Can't do that. This way, we had to take out, IT salary, that wasn't. But anytime the IT hires like Sean or something, working our stuff, that is. So Bill's gonna keep track of that and figure out a way to bill that back to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You just can't pay, you know.
Can't pay ourselves.
With the contract that, yeah, so.
Dang it. Yeah.
But that's good because it's expensive.
Yeah, right.
Yes, he
Oh, no, I
does. Yeah,
agree,
it's,
he does.
it's invaluable. Hard to put a price on it.
And not just him, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Whoever.
Yeah, whoever's doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
We just gotta know that.
Right.
When your department is actually starting on the budget. And just to remind everybody, at a September, we have to have our non-exceed deadline. Steve, on the calendar, then, are you anticipating setting that then for the 26th?
Yes. Yes, that will be done at the 26th. We're working on the salary and benefit information at this time, so. Yeah, we'll get, yeah.
So that will be part of our September 6th board meeting too. I got that same notification.
Mhm.
29.
Sheriff's office and the drug task force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, appreciate you bringing it up. It is on the list.
Okay. You've turned down these budgets, so looking at the calendar coming up, we've got, we got a place that.
I have on the 29th, Wayne at 9 o'clock, Nick at 9:30, Renee at 10 o'clock, Emily at 10:30, Chris at 11, and Kyle Creer 11:30. So we'll hit the buildings plant, highway, VSO, recorder, assessor, and Kyle's bunches on planning, zoning, conservation, ag inspection, GIS, just about as many as what Mike and Keith have. That's an afternoon, and on that one, we'll hit county attorney at 1 o'clock, IT at 1:30, EMS, EM at 2, probation with Jeff at 2:30, Bonnie at extension at 3, and Natalie at court and law library at 3:30. And then the last ones I've got will be at the board meeting on the 12th, which will be our pretty much our outside ones except one. Susan from the museum will be here, Jody from the library, and Amanda. So those will be during the board meeting. I've got 10:30, 11, 11:30 for those. So, yep.
Any further? Very good.
Motion. Luke. Chris,
Question.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it 11:17.
I got a quick question for you.
Just a second, please.
Yep.